Hello and namaste, everyone. Thank you once again for welcoming me into your homes and for giving me this opportunity to speak with you about the astrological influences and my interpretation as to what I foresee possibly coming to pass and unfolding for us over the course of this next month. The two most significant factors that we have taking place and coming to form and unfolding this month are the two eclipses. We have a lunar eclipse on October 8th, and we have a solar eclipse on October 23rd. The importance of an eclipse is that they're each obviously a full moon and a new moon. The lunar eclipse is a full moon, the solar eclipse is a new moon. The concentration of energy during the time of an eclipse is much more intense. It's much more streamlined, if you will. There is much more of a precise alignment with the sun, the earth, and the moon, further concentrating and intensifying the flow of energy and the information that we receive from spirit and from the heavens. And many times with an eclipse, we can certainly feel the effects of what is coming about 3 months before the actual onset of the eclipse. And the effects of the eclipse can last up to 6 months and sometimes even longer. So the 3 month time frame would bring us to about the July time frame, and many of us have been feeling a tremendous surge of energy that's coming to the surface, that's bubbling from our personal subconscious, but also too from the collective unconscious. With an eclipse, the energies are neither negative or positive. It's kind of like any other astrological influence. With an eclipse, it's really dependent upon what it is that we are setting in motion prior to the actual onset of the eclipse. That is what will define really how on a personal level those energies will manifest and come to form for us. And certainly when we are aware of our personal astrological charts, we can see exactly what area of our lives the energies of these eclipses will touch. One of the most unsettling things for me with the energies of specifically the lunar eclipse is that there's a tremendous amount of energy that's being released. And certainly, it can go in many, many directions. Many times, just as though we need to release stress, the earth actually also needs to release stress as well. And many times that comes in the form of earthquakes, volcanoes. And I always say that whenever we have these experiences in nature, they are very, very natural. What we can offset and what we can possibly divert, if you will, is the amount of devastation that takes place when we have these experiences. When we allow nature to do exactly what it's supposed to do and not interfere, that's when the experiences don't necessarily become so devastating. And here in the United States, with the positions of certain planets, especially the planet Pluto in the lunar eclipse chart that is cast for the United States, we have Pluto at the lowest point of the chart. That can certainly create a sense of unsettlement here in our own homeland. However, we also have to recognize that we are not separate from anyone else on this planet. And with Pluto's position in that chart, as well as some of the other astrological influences, certainly it can lead to the potential of the experience of an earthquake. Exactly where, I'm not really clear on that, and sometimes that's a little frustrating when we really can't see precisely when, or rather where, something is going to come to form, but we can see the surge of energy, and that also releases a tremendous amount of fear from within ourselves as well. We also have Mercury going retrograde on October 4th, and with the transit of Mercury in the sign of Scorpio right now, we are actually being given an opportunity to really reflect and review whatever might be creating fear in our own lives. And when we give ourselves the opportunity to do that and to really recognize what might be creating fear, and then we are given the opportunity to release that, we may not necessarily have a negative experience come into form in our own lives. And certainly we can do that with the collective of unconsciousness and whatever is to manifest in the outside world. Because quite honestly, whatever takes place in the outside world, it's really just a reflection of what's taking place in each and every one of us. And then it radiates to the collective unconsciousness, and then it radiates to the manifestation of something in the outside world. And that just further indicates how we're really not separate, you know, from anyone or anything, and how we are very instrumental in creating all the experiences that certainly come to pass in our own lives as well as in the outside world. You know, we've been aware that there's been so much unsettlement in the world, and certainly, you know, I wouldn't, I wouldn't discredit the possibility of some of this unsettlement taking place directly here in the United States. I'm not sure if it will be in the form of a terror attack, or something that took place a few years ago, actually quite a few years ago. I believe it was in 1995 with the Oklahoma City bombing. You know, whenever something like that happens again, one more time, it's just a reflection of what's taking place within each and every one of us. And that is another reason why we need to remain and stay in a place of love. Anyone who has been following my forecast, something that I've been emphasizing quite emphatically over these last few months is that we absolutely need to choose to stay in a place of love. And once we do that within ourselves, then we can certainly offset and diffuse the possibility of anything negative taking place in the outside world. And this is not to say that we are going to try to make another person wrong, or to really try to discredit what someone else might be doing. We are only here to be responsible for who it is that we are and what it is that we are setting in motion. So once again, I certainly would suggest to remember and to be aware to whatever you do, wherever it is that you go, stay in a place of love. One thing specific and significant with the solar eclipse that's taking place on October 23rd is that we are being given the opportunity, again, I'm going to go back to fear. We're being given the opportunity to move from a place of fear to a place of love. You know, certainly that might not be something that can happen overnight. However, it's not impossible. You know, and in order for us to do that, sometimes we need to be abundantly aware of the element of fear. It doesn't have to be that way, and sometimes it is. I suggest to lovingly reflect on the possibility of what might be creating fear in your own life, and to lovingly reflect that. You know, I've said a few times in these last few months that the energy of this time frame right now, it has the potential to release atomic fear. You know, that might sound like a grave statement. However, sometimes, you know, we need to use words with such intensity to really express the gravity of a situation, and how critical it is for us to just remember certainly our connection to one another, and also our connection to higher levels of intelligence, to the spirit realm, and how we can use those energies and that information to transfer into our own lives and really change the outcome of any experience, especially when we see the possibility of a negative experience in the future. You know, something that I always very much so express and offer the understanding that whenever we see something to come, whenever we see something that is in the future, if you will, nothing is written in stone. We see the possibilities of what is to come. And when we have the awareness of what possibly might come to pass, we certainly are being given the opportunity to redirect the energy and change the outcome, which is something I would like every one of us to remember, that if we ever see, sense, or feel something that is unsettled, when we just take some time and go within ourselves and approach anything from a place of love, we can certainly possibly offset the outcome of any negative experience. You know, time is moving very, very quickly, or rather our perceptions and understanding of time. It seems as though events are passing much more quickly. And I've talked about this before, how really You know, time and space doesn't exist in the realm of spirit in the fourth dimension. Right now we are in the third dimension, and we are here to really move from the third dimension to a fourth dimension of knowing and experience. And in that fourth dimension, time and space really does not exist. We are becoming less aware of the physical and less aware of the third dimension. And that is why it seems as though time is passing much more quickly. You know, I once thought it was because of where we are in our age. However, you know, the more that I connect with younger individuals these days through the work that it is that I do, even younger ones as early as in their late teens, they are also recognizing how quickly time is passing. And again, it's because we are becoming much more aware of our spiritual selves, because quite honestly, that's really who it is that we are. You know, we're here having a human experience, but innately we are very, very spiritual. So I'm certainly going to once again express in your everyday life, really do whatever it is that you need to do to stay in a place of love. You know, generate that love, and in your prayers and in your meditations, generate that love to all of humanity and also to the earth. You know, that is what will potentially dissolve any type of a negative experience coming to form, whether it's here in the United States or anywhere in the world, because quite honestly, every one of us are connected to each other, and someone on the other side of the world is really no different than who it is that we are. So I just hope that I can inspire you to really recognize that, and to also create a sense of self-empowerment, empowerment of the self. Because earlier when I talked about the energy of Pluto in that lunar eclipse chart, Pluto, as destructive as it potentially can be, it can also be equally empowering, especially to oneself, when we can recognize that. You know, Pluto, I feel, gets a bad rap. Astrologically, it still has a very significant influence, regardless of what humanity feels to place, feels to call it, doesn't matter however it's labeled, it still has its influences. You know, I always think that it's quite humorous that from spirit that you know, humanity feels the need to place everything in a certain type of form, you know, and then it has to fit a certain shape in a certain mold, you know. And it's kind of like, I guess it was, you know, Shakespeare that said, would a rose by any other name smell less sweet? So, you know, regarding the influences of Pluto, no matter how far away it is, and whatever it is that we feel to call it, label it, it still has a very, very profound impact and effect on humanity. And it's an energy that we can certainly harness and channel into something that is very, very empowering, not only to ourselves, but for each other as well. So with that, I will say thank you once again to Lori and to everyone for giving me this opportunity to sit with you and to explain and express my understandings of what's coming for us. I will see everyone again very soon. In November, I will be at the Mystical Moon, the last part of November. I believe my first day there will be November 19th, and I'll be there till about the 1st. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing everyone in person. We always have great interactions, amazing experiences. So thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. Have a great month. Have a blessed Samhain and Halloween to those who celebrate. Blessings and namaste. Thank you.